Hello everyone, welcome to another Versus video. I am BBD joined by
Brad Nelson.
My mimic here is trying to replicate the awesome way that I introduced ourselves in this.
And his intros, and, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of awesome, 17 land mono red.
Dude, you're just giving me nightmares again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to deny it. Yeah, I am. So, there's a new card in M15 called Hammer Hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a handful of hammers or a hammer in a hand. We don't actually know exactly what the lore is.
Yeah, I have a bunch of different artworks that I've done here. I don't know why Wizards hasn't hired me yet.
As an artist?
Yeah, I mean, this is quality work. But really the point here is that I think Hammer Hand is insane for this deck.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things, though, that I do want to mention is this is a Tom the Boss Ross, excuse me, I forgot, I messed up his name, creation where BBD is now trying to butcher it as much as possible.
Correct.
By playing his favorite Theros limited magic card.
Satyr Hoplite.
Satyr Hoplite, yes. We are adding 4 Satyr Hoplites to the deck because why not?
Well, I have a reason for it, because I would agree that Satyr Hoplite is bad in original Boss Sly, but now that we have 4 Hammer Hands,
yes,
we have additional ways to target our creatures. We have, in fact, 17.
We have an entire 17 cards to target our Satyr Hoplites.
Correct.
Yes. All right. Well,
17.
Let's talk about what we did end up cutting. But actually, first, why is Hammer Hand good in this deck?
Let me explain that.
Thank you.
I would love to. So Hammer Hand is +1/+1, gives a creature haste, and makes an opposing creature unable to block. So the entire point of this deck is to just swarm the board with like little crappy guys that get destroyed in combat by your opponent's creatures, but you have like all these pump spells, and you just have so much early aggression that you're going to kill them before it matters. Mm-hmm. And that's where Hammer Hand comes in handy, because you get to like basically like your opponent plays like a creature like Brimaz or Courser that's going to lock down the board, and then you get to hammer in another attack step.
I do love that. I don't know how many of those puns were intentional or non-intentional, but come in handy is pretty good. Yeah. And I know that was not intentional.
It definitely was not, but I'm going to take credit for it as though it was. Yeah. Because that's how I like to roll. Yeah. So yeah, it's like really awesome against cards like Brimaz or Courser that are otherwise like can be huge issues for this deck. Mm-hmm. Along with Frenzied Goblin, another new card that also prevents blocking. So now we have like another 1-drop and a Hammer Hand here to make blocking miserable for our opponent. Yeah,
and I do like the look of this deck. I would definitely be prone to not taking out the Ashlyats, though. I think those were like really good for the deck and gave it like a more aggressive start. And it's just an actual big creature in a deck full of like, you know, really bad small creatures.
Yep.
To where sometimes you just want that oomph. Also, it helps you with Battalion sometimes, just being able to have a haste creature.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do like the look of this. I definitely do not like my chances in the matchup, because I am playing a deck without removal spells.
One thing I will say about Hammer Hand that I think is really sweet, and one of the reasons I cut Ash Zealot and moved towards like more of a 1-drop centric deck, is because I wanted to spend excess mana on like Frenzied Goblin's ability and being able to do something like go like 1-drop, 1-drop, like go 1-drop on turn 1, double 1-drop on 2, and then on turn 3 I can go like a Crone Crusader plus Hammer Hand on it. Their guy can't block, and now I get to hit with the Crusader, the token, and all my guys are already in play. And trigger, Foundry Street Denizen like 90 times or whatever.
That is true. This deck does have, man, I didn't even realize that we are not even playing all of the potential 1-drops that are in red, but there are so many of them.
Yeah, there really are a lot of them, and they're actually all like good at different times too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that this deck could be like pretty sweet with Hammer Hand and Frenzied Goblin. Let's go take a look at the sideboard. All right, we're back with the sideboard, and as you can see here, we have a lot of the cards that Tom Ross had in his sideboard.
That is not true. I do not see any Sylvan Caryatids.
Okay, you're right. You're right. So I took Tom Ross had 4 Sylvan Caryatids. I decided to change them to Skullcracks.
It's probably a smart move.
I thought they might be a little bit better.
Before we get into the sideboard, actually, let's bring these cameras up. I'm going to play a little game called Let's See If BBD Knows Why Tom Does Things.
Okay, all right.
First off, why is the Beautivault in the sideboard?
The Mutavault's in the sideboard, so you can bring it in for slower matchups where you also want to bring in stuff like maybe Harnessed by Force that costs 3 mana, and you would like to have an additional land in your deck.
Incorrect.
Incorrect, all right.
It is in the sideboard, so when you're on the draw against black decks with Thoughtseize, you can lower your mana count and go down to 16 red sources and have a free creature.
Ooh, that's...
Also, it does cast Hardest, but yeah. He actually boards out a mountain against Thoughtseize decks so you don't get flooded.
That is pretty strong.
Yeah, Tom's a genius, actually.
Yeah. All right, any other quiz questions?
Yes. The Eidolon of the Great Revels, when does that come in?
That's a very good question. The answer is when your opponent has a lot of spells with converted mana cost 3 or less, you would like to bring in Eidolon of the Great Revel to deal 2 damage to that player.
What kind of 2 or less spells?
I am thinking like removal spells.
Ding, 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 ding! You got it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll end it now.
All right, sweet. So we have Skullcracks. Those are pretty self-explanatory, like control decks and things that are going to gain a lot of life. Mizium Mortars. I like Mortars a lot in a deck like this because you want to be able to kill Coursers and Brimazes and things that, like maybe Blood Baron, just like random dudes that are hard to kill. I have to go with Magma Spray for 100% for Voice of Resurgence, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be boarding in cards like Shock and Magma Spray to kill creatures. It's not like you're going to want, like, a card against any matchup where you're like, I just want to hit them for 2 in the face. Like, that's just not a thing. So that's what Skullcrack's here for.
Yeah.
So yeah, Magma Spray definitely is your anti-voice card, and in matchups where you're going to need to kill creatures to get your guys through, it's never going to be a shock. Maybe like 1 out of 50 times you're going to want the shock.
Yeah, that's why I opted for like just a straight 4 Magma Sprays because I just wanted the best creature removal spell because, like Brad said, that's why I'm bringing it in. Harnessed by Force, I think, is like basically for decks that are going to be jamming like Pelucranos or just other just like huge creatures and maybe they don't have any blockers at the time. You can bring in the Harness and just grab their huge guy, hit them for a bunch the turn that you play that. And then Blinding Flare is just the 7th can't block type effect. Also pretty good against like Voice and just random creatures that are going to be a problem for blocking like Courser and the like.
Oh, for sure. It's just a good card. These 2 spells, from what I've talked to Tom about this deck, is your like flood insurance. Like when there's going to be games where you draw 1 or 2 many lands, your opponent's starting to stabilize, and you just need to have outs that can just win you the game.
Yep.
So they're both there for that, and
I like the fact that Blinding Flare also can target Satyr Hoplite if you need to pump him.
Yes, we understand that when we go to M15, BBD will get disqualified from the Pro Tour by putting a Satyr Hoplite in his deck for no reason, just because he's going to miss it.
Turn 1 Satyr Hoplite, turn 2 Hammerhand, and my first draft of M15.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we'll see how this deck plays out and if Hammerhand really adds to it. But before we do that, though, we're going to look at Brad's deck.
My sweet one.
See what sweet stuff he's got in there.
Actually, quick, before we go, what do you think of the other enchant creature from the set? Like that's one that I think a lot of people might be thinking about. I can't remember if the
Inferno Fist.
Inferno Fist. I would have loved to seen the art that you would have produced for that card.
Well, it would have been like an Inferno and just a single fist rising above the flames.
It's so brilliant.
It's just talent.
How you see this, I don't understand.
It took years of art school.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that card is okay actually, but I think it's worse than Madcap Skills. I don't think you want too many of those types of cards in your deck.
That makes sense.
But that actually seems better in a little bit of a slower red deck where you can actually activate the ability more regularly.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and come back and watch my video.
Do it.
Just do it.
Watch it now.
Nike.
Reebok. I can't work under these conditions. I can't do it.